Hi, my name is Reggie Hamill. In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know in order to never pay for another drop of gas again. You'll discover why your forbidden fuel source, something that costs under 70 cents per gallon but runs cleaner and performs better than even the highest grade gasoline, is your key to reducing your fuel consumption by at least 80% while saving you $1,500 or more per year. In this presentation, I'm also going to expose an incredibly dangerous secret, something that big oil has spent billions of dollars in over 100 years trying to keep you from ever finding out about. And once you know what it is, you'll realize that everything you need to power your car or even your home is already sitting in your refrigerator, your trash can, and even your backyard at this very moment. In fact, once you've learned about this suppressed fuel source, something that's far more effective than hydrogen power, solar power, electricity, biomass, or even hydrogen oil, and which 35,219 Americans like you have already discovered, you'll feel like you've been transported back into the good old days, a time when $20 could keep your car running for weeks and where Sunday drives were an American tradition, not a death blow to your wallet.
Please click on the link below the video to watch the full content. If you are
You'll never have to look at the price board above the gas station and begin performing complex mental calculations, adding sums and carrying the ones in order to figure out how many gallons of black gold you can actually afford. And you'll never again experience that sinking feeling that comes from telling your children that you just can't go on that road trip you've talked about all year because the cost of gas is just too high and it's out of the family budget. Now, I know what you're thinking. If I can power my car for less than 70 cents per gallon indefinitely with materials found in my own home, why have I never heard of this before? The answer to that question is rooted in one of the greatest cover-ups in American history, perpetuated by a sinister and ruthless billionaire who for decades was considered to be one of the most powerful human beings on the planet. And his boundless greed single-handedly led to the deaths of tens of millions of innocent civilians, the bloody rise of dozens of deadly dictators, and even the world's most catastrophic environmental disasters. I'll give you the full story in just a moment. And of course, I'll also tell you what this total gasoline replacement is and how you can use it today to free yourself and your family from being slaves to the oil mafia. But first, let me take 30 seconds to explain who I am and how I came to discover that our nation's entire dependence on gasoline is nothing but a mass-manufactured lie. As I mentioned, my name is Reggie, and for over 30 years I was employed as a scientist at one of the largest chemical processing plants in the United States. Mostly my job was to create transmutations, which is just a fancy way of saying I was paid to change the properties of chemicals. There's no doubt that I was blessed to have had the same job for so long. But as the economy continued to deteriorate, and as the cost of everything from groceries to gas continued to skyrocket over the last 10 years, it started becoming harder and harder to keep my family afloat. Have you ever felt that sick feeling in your stomach because your children are hungry and you simply can't afford to spend $1 more at the supermarket? Or sat at the kitchen table late at night going through your bills with a pen and paper, trying desperately to figure out what you can cut down on and which payments you can get away with making a few weeks late? In late 2008, that was the situation I began finding myself in. And while at first I was able to make some simple decisions like no longer having cable TV and only driving the family car when it was 100% necessary, things kept getting worse until I reached my breaking point. It was early September of 2010, and my daughter Sarah came to me with a piece of paper from her school. It was an order form for a gym uniform. They wanted a check for $30 to pay for it. This amount should have been nothing, and yet, as I looked into her tiny little eyes and held that single piece of paper that she'd so carefully placed in her backpack to give to her daddy, it was all I could do not to begin crying right in front of her. We just had so many bills. I was already behind by a month on the power. Our refrigerator was already bare to the bones, and a simple $30 was going to force me to make huge decisions about what to pay and what to delay. Which is why, after I wrote her a check with trembling hands and sent her to her room, I immediately went to the computer and started looking at how much money I could get for my car.
please click on the link below the video to watch the full content. If you are interested,